Hi, this is my first video review where you can actually see my face. Job Harry Met Sejal is such a big movie, it seemed like it was worth it to do it for this one. And it wasn't exactly the movie we were promised, but it is a good film. See, we were promised a return to the light rom-coms we wanted. It's right there in the title. And we needed that because Shahrukh has had a hard time with his past few films. They really aren't exactly what the audience wants from him. Race, too dark and drama-y. Dear Zindagi, love Dear Zindagi, really good movie. I think Shahrukh did a fabulous job in it. There's not really a romance and there isn't really a big song. It's just not what you think of with a Shah Rukh Khan film. Dilwale, I enjoyed it, even if no one else did. But again, a lot of action, not a lot of romance. Fan, well, it's a brilliant film, but it's a really odd film. I can see why not many people enjoyed it. It's too much. Happy New Year, too much heist, and too much not such a good movie. Jab Ducky John, that was an odd one. If you think back, it was just way too romantic, like overwhelmingly romantic. I kind of wonder if that's why Shahrukh hasn't done a straight romance since then. It was too much even for him. Plus, and we can all acknowledge this, he ends up with the wrong heroine in that movie. But finally, this is supposed to be the thing that's just right. It's romantic, but it's a light romance. There's tons of songs, and there's a heroine with whom he has actual chemistry, and you want them to end up together. Or is it just right? I think the problem, if anything, is that it may be too little for the audience. There just isn't much there. Mies van der Rohe, brilliant architect, coined the phrase, less is more. And sometimes that's true. Sometimes an artist will decide, I'm going to strip out everything extraneous and just do the really important stuff. And it will end up being a better quality work for that. Or sometimes they'll say, I don't want to bother hiring a bunch of extras and character actors. I'm just going to do a story which really only has two characters in it. Not sure where I land exactly on this film. Right now I'm leaning towards the it was an artistic choice entirely argument. But if I wake up tomorrow and decide it was just lazy, I think I would still have to acknowledge that it was a lazy choice. It wasn't an accident. Imtiaz Ali always, or has progressively done these more and more stripped down plots as his career has gone on. And that's just what he likes. It's not a mistake or an accident. He wants to do a simple film like this. The one thing that was not simple is, oh my gosh, Shahrukh is so sexy in this movie. Just overwhelmingly sexy. I don't even know where it came from. I mean, for one thing, the man is 51 years old. He should not be this attractive. For another, the costuming, the hair, it shouldn't make sense, but then it comes together and it's just unbelievable. And I've seen every movie he's made, and I've seen every movie for the past 10 years on the big screen, and this is the sexiest he's ever looked, I promise you. I don't think it could have come from the director, because I've seen Tamasha, and I don't think he knows what's sexy. Maybe from Gory? I mean, I've also seen Bazagar, and at one point she did not know what was sexy, but perhaps age has brought wisdom. Whether it was Gory or Imtiaz had a revelation or Karan Johar stopped by the sets or some young camera assistant woman was living out her romantic fantasies and finally dressing Shahrukh the way she wanted, I don't know who did it, but whoever it was, they did an amazing job. And that's all I can say without spoiling. So now you get to watch me take my hair down while the spoiler screen goes by. Okay, spoilers, which aren't really spoilers because it's the exact plot you thought it was. Boy meets girl. Boy and girl fight. Boy and girl fall in love. Boy and girl say goodbye. And happy ending. Or is it the plot we thought it was? Because the thing is, this isn't exactly the first meeting. He's the tour guide that has been guiding her and her huge family group around for a month. But then it is the first meeting. Because even though they've sort of known each other before, she only knew him as the polite, perfect tour guide, and he only knew her as just part of her family group. He didn't even know her name, thus the Sejal thing that keeps coming through. The fighting isn't exactly fighting either, because see, he's her employee. So he may talk back and complain, but ultimately he knows he has no power. And she may get mad at him and boss him around, but ultimately she knows he has no power. So it's not really a fight between equals. It's something different that sort of allows them to get closer than they would be able to. The loving, that's where it gets really interesting because they never have sex. Early on, they go through a traumatic experience and they start sleeping together every night, but literally sleeping together. At one point, she jokes about how she wants to take her queen-size bed with her back to India because she's gotten so used to sleeping on him. They also joke about her being his girlfriend while they're traveling together, which involves a lot of holding hands and his arm around her and dancing around together, but no kissing and nothing more physically intimate than that, which manages to bring them much closer as a couple. They go through all those fights and those comforting moments and those moments when you just want a hug without going through the step of kissing and admitting they're in love. Plus, and I can't say this enough, it is so sexy. It's just so incredibly sexy in the not having sex way. And then the goodbye is not exactly goodbye either. In another movie, this would be the interval point, right? They sort of have admitted they love each other. She goes back to her family, he goes back to his family. That's the interval point of DDLJ. And speaking of DDLJ, there's even a pilot moment after they say goodbye. He waits for her to turn back, and of course she does. But in this movie, this is just 5 minutes before the ending. They say goodbye, there's a snippet of a sad song, and then next thing you know, he's on a plane to India ready to break up her wedding. And then, here's the part I love, he shows up prepared for a big dramatic scene, and there's no big dramatic scene because she's already canceled the wedding. I always wondered why heroines don't do that, even if the guy doesn't come for you. If you think you're in love with someone else, you just shouldn't get married no matter what. So yeah, he shows up, they have a few minutes of conversation, they decide to get married, and that's it. And then we have our happy ending, which, yes, is a big happy song, but it's not the big happy song like at the end of Kuch Kuch Hota Hai, for instance. It's a little bit deeper than that. It's not just about a celebration of, yay, we're together and we're in love. No, it's him reclaiming his identity as a Punjabi. They're actually singing it in his home village. This isn't just a fantasy scene. And her claiming her identity as the woman he loves, which sounds shallow for her entire identity now to be just the woman he loves. But that's kind of been her journey throughout this film, learning that it's okay to just be happy with this guy and not think any more than that. Mostly, though, and I can't say this enough, this movie is so sexy.